Welcome to our new series of live mixes and performances called Shelflive, an ongoing mix series recorded at our Shelflife stores in Joburg and Cape Town, continuing the DNA of our SL Sound program. We're super happy to intro our first guest, Cheslin Pick. For sure one of Cape Town's most consistent and versatile acts, a DJ, art director, and curator whose sets span gospel to house, jazz to jungle. The man behind 8 Below radio show and record label, one of the minds behind the prescription parties in Cape Town. On the product and brand side, he's a longtime friend of Shelflife, having been both a consistent customer, commentator, and even a character in some of our campaigns. Cheslin is a proper sneakerhead before it became a dirty word or something you could just buy into at a reseller or IG account. He doesn't follow the hype unless it's merited. His knowledge of brands, models, and history in our ecosystem is crazy, and chatting with him is always as much a lesson in culture as it is a treat.
Chezzy, thank you so much for being the first guest on the show. We're super excited to get the live platform rolling.
Yep, all good to be here.
Nice one, man. So I guess, Chezzy, to set the boundary nicely, to set the foundation nicely, give us a moment in music, whether it's a record, whether it's a set you've watched, whether it's something an artist has said that stands out for you and maybe gives us a little bit more insight into who Cheslin Pick is.
Well, I would definitely have to say, and I'm going to go with something quite recent. It would definitely be, just the influence of the music that my parents were listening to and that I grew up on. I've got a strong jazz foundation, and I think seeing Herbie Hancock perform at the North Sea Jazz Festival, that was really mind-blowing, just in terms of as an artist that has been here for so many years and has never stuck to one specific style, continuously growing, continuously embracing technology, and some of the technology that we're using today. And even though our approaches to music is just, this guy was such an inspiration. And then from a mentality perspective, it would definitely be the one and only Miles Davis. And one of the many, many controversial and truthful sound bites he said was, we don't have enough stylists.
That's interesting.
We've got over enough musicians, we don't have enough stylists.
I guess that's the perfect segue into my next question. So there's obviously, now we're in 2025, DJing is a pretty ubiquitous thing. Some of us don't like to call ourselves DJs anymore. What do you think sets you apart as a selector, as a DJ in today's day and age, whether it's locally, whether it's globally, whether it's here in Cape Town in the scene we're in? What do you think sets you a little bit apart?
Okay, well, to start off, I think, I don't want to be too egotistical about it, but at the end of the day, there are many DJs, I agree, whether that's a good thing or bad thing. But in this game, there's always going to be a DJ that has maybe got more years ahead of you, so they're really experienced, or you get someone that's more novice, and that goes for technical ability too. But I believe the thing that will always set you apart, and I believe that sets me apart, is my taste and style. I think you can practice every aspect of your DJing as far as skill goes, but when it comes to taste and style, that is something that you either have or you don't. And mine is unique to myself, and I'm sure that, that's my aspiration. I believe that that's what a DJ should be, and there's room for everybody to have their own beliefs in this game, but that's my approach to my DJ portfolio, for lack of a better term.
Amazing, man. We love and we stand that portfolio and that sort of headspace here at Shelflife. I think that sort of leads us into your taste and your style. I know that 8 Below, now your record label, was originally a radio show. How did this thing evolve from a radio show, from you doing operator radio, the other radio, amongst other things? How did 8 Below sort of take its natural path into now becoming a record label? And tell us a little bit more about the record label.
Okay, well, to answer the first part of the question, I'm really proud of how organic it's grown. Because I loved music, I was just a kid that I didn't know that many people in the industry, and I just started making mixes. I couldn't stop doing it, and I used a very old but very current platform called SoundCloud. And on SoundCloud, I didn't pay too much attention of it. It's not like I had that many followers, but I started realizing that the people that were following me were quite influential. And I started building like a global following. And I would just pretty much approach it as if it was a real radio show. And I'd approach artists, build relationships, start sharing music, demos, and collaborating with artists and have them as guests. And then I'm actually in my personal life, I'm an art director and graphic designer for many years, worked in many agencies. So I started offering my skill set to these artists on the so-called underground or independent music scene. And I would use these skills to kind of forge more relationships and just understand the game a bit more. And fast forward to now, it's just grown. And on a local level, I started getting approached by the other radio. Shout out to Eden Peters and Matt Hitchens and the whole crew. That's how I started, being like official as far as radio is concerned. And I think with my following, I was able to really garnish a lot of great relationships without the use of a agency or an agent, which I'm really thankful for. So all my relationships were quite organic, and that way I was able to DJ in the Netherlands, in Switzerland, and these personal contacts, whether it was that or Clone, they immediately were able to very organically have a conversation like, hey, I need a new home for the 8 Below show, and that's how the Operator Radio kind of came about.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then for the record label, how it sort of evolved into that, obviously putting out other artists, putting out music yourself.
Well, just going back a few to your points, was I noticed as well with my DJ sets, I was really happy to kind of break new music. So once again, building the relationships with existing artists, whether they're new or established or just emerging talent locally, and the skill set of actual art direction, I was able to actually give advice on projects, and that gave me the confidence to be like, hey, I'm a little bit older now, more experienced, slightly bigger paycheck. Let me see if I can invest in something that I'm really passionate about. And that's really what it is at this point. I'm so passionate about it. I give my all. I believe in a standard of excellence. For myself, I hold myself to that standard. There's no rush for 8 Below, but I'm really happy with my first project that I put out this year.
Amazing. That would be the Clafrica release?
Yeah, that is Clafrica, and he's already an established electronic artist. He's born in Sicily, but he's based in the UK. And this is an established artist, but once again, because of my relationship I was able to build with him, he's actually considered a friend. And we found a way to make it work for both of us, and even collaborate, have guest features on the project. These are people that I worked with on radio shows maybe 8 or 7 years ago. So the organic progression of it all is just something I'm happy about, and I was happy to invest a little bit of my cash into it. And yeah, I'm excited about the future. I've got something that I'm working on at the moment. It's going to be a project.
You keep teasing this thing.
Oh yeah.
Are you gonna break it on this live session? Are you gonna tell us what it is, or are you gonna keep us waiting patiently?
Yeah, well, on the mix there will definitely be exclusives about music that's already out. From a artist from Japan known as RGL. We put out a single by him. It's called Talking in Your Sleep, and it's really like an ambient kind of experience, but really, really well produced. Clafrica is included in there, music from the latest project, and then there's also a couple of exclusives inside that I'm really excited about and that will be forthcoming. And the most exciting part about it is that it's a local artist that I've also kind of known for a while, but we just haven't had an opportunity to work together. But I'm happy to be able to invest in their talent. And at the end of the day, it's about the artist and their music first. I just do my job to try and communicate what their vision is as best as I can.
Amazing.
Yeah,
we're super excited, man. I think you spoke a lot about collaboration. You spoke a lot about blurring the lines. It's obviously a theme in your life. We're obviously a retail space. We've been involved in the culture since the beginning. We're 19 years in now.
Salute.
Yeah, it's been a great task from all involved. I think my question with that in mind is like, we're very much into blurring the lines. We're very much into supporting music and art, retail, fashion, all of these things. Who do you look up to at the moment who is doing similar stuff, either locally, globally? Who do you look to as your kind of blueprint, or at least as a skeleton, to be able to do that yourself?
Good question. First and foremost, shout out to Shelflife. Always.
Shout out to Shelflife.
Being at the cutting edge of culture and the highest level of product for many years. I've been coming to Shelflife since I was a boy to get, the most tier 0 product, whatever it may be, and there's really nothing else like it in the country, to be honest. Aside from that, on the local front, I've always admired brands like, heritage brands like Carhartt, for example. They've obviously got their roots in Detroit, and we all know there's so much musical styles that come from Detroit. So I think when it comes to American culture and blurring the lines of collaborating on musical projects, not so much for, just for product placement, but for actual collaboration. It's a brand that's shown its history in investing in the arts. So I really love Carhartt. There's actually another peer label that I really look up to in terms of inspiration, and what I like about the label is it also escaped the traditional mold of what it means to be a label, and there are many, like, lack of a better term, conservative ways to go about a label, but this label really has a blue ocean, and that would be Apron Records. Shout out Steve and Julian. They've got a fantastic variety of merch that they've done, which is really high level stuff that can compete with a lot of modern streetwear brands. They just did the collab now on a shoe, a sneaker, which is really great. And just from the little bit of relationship that I've built with the label, they really are people just like us. They're looking for the sneakers, they're looking for the merch, but also looking for the new sounds. So I think once again, it's that type of culture and community that's being represented. And of course, the third one that I almost forgot, I would have to say Pata. Pata's
amazing. Shout out Pata, doing amazing things.
They've got their latest project, they literally doing records combined with merch or gear. So yeah, that's really inspiring.
I think a blueprint for what a lot of us are doing, trying to deeply get involved into sort of community upliftment, as well as cultural stuff, as well as established stuff. I think those guys completely traverse the full gamut of what's possible for a brand, collabing with massive soccer teams,
absolutely,
doing massive releases, and also keeping their stuff grassroots. So definitely shout out Pata, shout out what they're doing.
And making it accessible too.
Yeah, 100%. Cheers. I think last question from my side. Is there anything that we didn't ask you? Anything that you'd like people to know about from your side?
Good question. Actually, I don't want you guys to know anything about me. But as far as 8 Below goes, please just keep an eye out for all our new projects that we've got going on. We've got something coming up at the end of the year. I also run a party with really good DJs called Prescription. It happens once a month at one park in Gardens. So we'd love to see you there. And if you're a kid, stay in school and don't do drugs.
The corny stuff. Thank you so much for joining us here on the first episode of Shelflive, man. Coming to you live and direct from Shelflife in Cape Town. We'll see you really soon. Peace.
Peace. Thanks, my man.
Okay, I got it. I know what to do from now on.
Out of your